Well, good morning, Morro Bay. Today is Thursday, March 16th, and I would like to call to order the monthly meeting of the Tourism Business Improvement District. For the record, the time is 9:02 a.m., and now we will establish a quorum of our board members present here today. From my right to left, we have our newest board member here, Sean Green, Maggie Jurin, myself, Aaron Graves, Charlie Yates, and Taylor Newton down at the end. And for all, we do have a brand new board member present here today, Sean Green. Sean, I'd love to give you the microphone and tell the community a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Sean Green. I live in downtown Morro Bay, own a home there and an empty commercial lot. I had a great experience interviewing for this position earlier this week. I've been a pretty active participant in Planning Commission meetings, GPAC, some public works issues, just trying to get more involved in local government, and I think this is a great place to start.
Well, thank you very much, Sean. And we are always excited about members of the community coming in and helping to participate. And truly, when you do sit here with this board, you are able to shape and craft tourism and how that responds within our community. So thank you very much. And actually, thank you to all the rest of us who are here as well. It is a commitment. We recognize that. Next on the agenda, item 2, public comment. We'd like to open the microphone up to anybody who would like to give public comment. Seeing no public comment at this time, we will close that session and move on to item 3. We're looking for an approval of the minutes from the January 19th, 2017 TBID Advisory Board meeting. Now, I have no doubt that the entire board has read those minutes tirelessly. Yes? Any discussion about those minutes, board? No? All right. I'd like to open it up to public comment about those minutes. Okay. Seeing no public comment, staff has recommended that we approve and submit the minutes for record, so we'll be looking for a motion to do so.
I'd like to make a motion to approve as written.
Thank you, Mr. Yates. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Maggie. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 5-0. Next on the agenda, the 2017 January TOT report, and this will be submitted by Jen, our tourism manager. Take it away, Jen.
Good morning, board. So I have attached the year-over-year fiscal projection and also, not projection, but actuals through January. And you also have our cheat sheet that we've set up with showing comparative as far as other cities and market factors. Some of the things I would like to talk about on the TOT, we did have a 1% occupancy increase over January, and personally, I'm thrilled with this. Highway 1 and Highway 41 closed January 5th, and they were closed till the end of the month. And for us to be able to hold our numbers is really substantial. If you look at the competitive cities in our county, you'll see a lot of them. Some of them changed, some of them kind of held, but it was just very difficult. You look at San Simeon, that's north of us, they were lower. Let's see, Cambria had a slight increase. North Coast down a little bit. So I'm very happy with where we sit. Of course, I would like to see a large increase, but considering the road closures, I'm happy with this. I also think it gives us kind of a projection on what to expect with Highway 1 being closed currently. Some of the other things that I wanted to point out, during January we had the Winter Bird Festival, and unfortunately it rained the whole Winter Bird Festival, and that was right at when Highway 41 originally closed, and I know that a lot of hotels had cancellations, unfortunately, because of that. We had a total rain days of 13. I think that's more rain than we've had in how many years? A lot of years, huh? So it was a really difficult month, but I'm happy that we held where we were. Does anybody have any questions for me on it? No?
I'll interject a couple thoughts here. I do agree that it's phenomenal. We did not see as great of a decline as we were afraid. However, we do realize that our summer months is where we'll see the greater number of our international guests, and we know that the word about the Highway 1 closure, while really it is one very small section, all of our counties entirely open to guests. From the north all the way through the south, Highway 1 is completely accessible. There's just one little strip. So unfortunately, we are trying to prepare and keep that message very consistent that Highway 1 as a whole is not closed. It's one small portion. As this rolls into summertime, though, there could be greater consequences. So we are gearing up as a board and as a DMO to prepare for that. One quick note to staff. Typically, when running our hotel brokerage, when we compare our year-over-year numbers, your left column will typically be your current year, 2017, and then as it follows from left to right, you'll cascade that down to previous years, always using your current year as your base. So just noticing here, sometimes 17's on the left, sometimes it's on the right. So consistency probably makes it easier to just scan the notes. But other than that, this is beautiful, and I love my infographics. It's easier. Spreadsheets are boring. Any other comments from the board? Any public comment on the TOT?
The only thing I'd like to note is that I really appreciate the working with SlowCal, formerly the VCB. They came by yesterday, and they were in town in Morro Bay. And Jennifer, you working with them and making sure that Morro Bay was inclusive in that, in the map, and getting not only Morro Bay, but getting, Cayucas and, even Cambria wasn't even on that map. So to have them sort of circumvent us and then have you guys take over and really work for us to get us on that map. Now they're being proactive and going to the desks of all the front desks with laminated maps with the words to use and the words to lose on how we tell our guests how to get to us, how to be able to enjoy the Central Coast is really important. And so I just want to thank you guys for doing that, but also thank SlowCal for putting together that map with all the municipalities and the DMOs to get that consistent message to our desk clerks, because that's what they're doing. They're working with our guest agents and letting them know, here's how you communicate that we are open and that there is access to Ragged Point and there is access to get from Monterey to us and to get from us to Monterey. So it's very important. I just want to thank you. There it is. Beautiful.
We're going to actually go through that. Marianne's going to talk about that, our outreach for Highway 1.
Oh, no. Still my better. Anytime.
Taylor, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a quick question. So we didn't have a meeting in February. So the TOT that we just looked at, that's what we would have looked at the February meeting? No.
I should have brought this up.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want everybody to know.
Thank you, Taylor. Is there any public comment on the TOT report? All right, thank you. We'll move on to the next item. This is our February 2017 Marketing Public Relations Update on Highway 1 closure by Mental Marketing. Marianne, sorry about stealing your thunder. Actually, why don't we just say Charlie warmed the mic up for you on that topic?
Actually, I need to step up to the mic, don't I? Hi,
Please.
thank you. Thank you all. I have a PowerPoint here. We're going to go over a couple things. The Highway 1 closure, as Jen mentioned. We're also going to go over a couple of items, kind of bring you guys up to date where we are with marketing programs, success criteria, and just kind of refresh some of the goals for this year, because we have the 2 new board members. So I kind of want to bring you guys a little bit into the fold on that. Excuse me. Let's see if I'm going to get this to work here. Is it on? Wait, let's see. Oh, it did go? There we go. Okay.
I think we need AGP out here to adjust the screen.
It's cut off a little bit on the.
I think that's the maximum resolution. That's
That's okay. We can.
Oh, you want me to larger on the screen? That's what you have to say? My bad. I'm sorry. I thought you were trying to adjust the. Yes, I can do that. Yes.
Just a little technical difficulty here.
No, that's actually from the PowerPoint's too large. Yeah.
Okay, I think we can just kind of work through it. So basically, I know it looks good over here on this live one too, so that's fine. So basically, just wanted to kind of talk about the plan that Jennifer and I had been working on with the as far as marketing and target audiences we're going to go after this coming year. It kind of coincided at the same time with the road closures of Highway 41 and Highway 1. And so we had been planning for this upcoming year. We had been digging into research that was commissioned by Visit SlowCal that we had gotten just this past year in June. And then also some research we did on the profiles of the database that currently exists for Morro Bay tourism. So with all of that information and based on the highway road closure, we came up with a plan to implement for this coming year that we actually are implementing now, and then of course we'll implement in this upcoming marketing plan we're doing for 2017-18. And so, excuse me, so just number one here, the digital ad buys that we had going in Southern California, San Joaquin Valley, and San Jose Bay Area. We're now concentrating more on Southern California. And that is, again, like I said, based on research, but also to help us kind of grow that market that comes from the South that is not affected at all by any of the messaging out there about road closures, because traffic coming from the South in our regional drive markets are free and clear to come up Highway 1 and Highway 101 to get to our region. Same with the eastern, excuse me, San Joaquin Valley regions. What we are doing is expanding that Southern California market to include greater Los Angeles, so not just Los Angeles County, but also Orange County, Riverside County, and Ventura County north of Los Angeles. Central Valley will remain an important target audience, again, for all digital campaigns. Let's see here. Number 5, an additional ad buy was approved by City Council for $24,000 for tourism that's going to be applied May through June this year. In addition, $9,000 for a database that we've purchased for 160,000 potential visitors from Central Valley and Southern California as well. We'll be sending to that database 3 times, so we're trying to get like a repetitive kind of penetration of that audience with promotions, the current promotions that we're going to be running. Excuse me, I have a frog today in my throat. Also,
a quick question. When you say an additional ad buy that the council approved,
yes,
that's money that's coming out of the general fund?
Jen? I actually have a staff report on it, Maggie, and we'll go through it specifically.
Great. Okay, thanks.
And then so for San Jose area, we will still engage San Jose area. What we found from the research is that they really engage better in the winter months, in the off season. And so we're going to go after them through social media, which is something we're looking at expanding for next year. And then key messaging to keep Morro Bay top of mind, kind of, piggybacking off what Aaron was saying, is that messaging, getting out there to the public that we're open, we're near Hearst Castle, we're accessible from the north or the south, quite frankly, and that it's just one small part of Highway 1 that's closed, but we are open and accessible for business. So that's going to be included in all of our public relations outreach, messaging, online messaging, and that kind of thing. And then just wanted to show, this is page from Visit SlowCal that kind of gives all the Highway 1 closure information, talking points. This is where you can kind of download all of those maps that Charlie was mentioning and Aaron was mentioning. And absolutely, I think, Jen, sending out this plan that we did to Visit SlowCal and really speaking up and saying, hey, what about, where's Morro Bay being represented? And not only that, but Los Osos and Cayucas. I think they saw, okay, yeah, maybe we do need to add another bit of information. So they have LA to Ragged Point, sites along Highway 101 and 1. These are all, these links go to PDFs that you can download, like Charlie had there. But this is something I think that's really great and informational for us to have, and I think Jen and I are working on a way to maybe do a subtle link from our website to that website so people that are curious can find this information on the website easily. So without further ado, does anybody have questions about what I just went over? All good. Okay, so just kind of going over the goals that we have for the the current 2016-17 fiscal year. I'm going to go over about 3 top goals. We have Morro Bay lodging-focused programming, really to increase overall occupancy, motel revenues, especially during the midweek and shoulder season. We want to extend the number of average motel room nights beyond 1.5, and help incrementally increase the hotel-motel average daily rate, the ADR. Another goal here, Morro Bay business and event focused. A lot of our programs assist with the development and growth of competitions and events that attract overnight guests, as you guys were doing with your grant programs. I know Jen's going to be talking about that today. Also to bring exposure to Morro Bay as a viable destination for individuals and groups. And then Morro Bay business and city focused to create opportunities to positively impact sales tax, businesses, and drive economic development in the city of Morro Bay, and then positively impact the TOT for the city of Morro Bay. And how we're doing that. How are we doing that? And campaigns, with campaigns that we are including experiential, if you will, that big, kind of the big buzzword, calls to action. CTAs is calls to action. So just kind of to look at where we've been a little bit this year. From July to September, we did the Wine Month promotion. That was the first promotion out of the gate this fiscal year. Book 2 nights, get a free bottle of wine. So it's add value. That's really where kind of we saw a lot of the movement in the bookings. So September to October, we did Maritime Month promotion. We did an Enter to Win promotion getaway. While we were kind of launching that program for the first time this year, we were promoting a lot of the activities and events happening during that time period. And then come October through December, we did Kids Get Free Stuff, where you stay in Morro Bay, kids get free stuff. A lot of activities and food items that were kind of that were put into a passport by Jen's team were handed out to all the hotels. So if visitors stayed overnight, they got this passport. It's a value add. Again, we're not looking for discounts from the hoteliers, but we're adding value to their stay. That campaign went really well. December through February, winners for the birds. Again, stay in Morro Bay, free restaurant passport. We saw, as Jen talked, against all the odds, we were still up in occupancy, which is great. February through April, this is what's running right now. Take a deep breath, stay in Morro Bay, get a free activity passport. There's more details on that in the packet that you guys have from my monthly report. But that's going really well. We're also doing a YouTube 15-second ad on this promotion, really kicking it up a notch. And this is going to be what we promote in the first database e-blast that goes out actually today. So we're really hopefully going to see a lot more movement on this campaign as well, on top of all the digital stuff we're doing. And then April through June, we're developing a program right now, stay in Morro Bay, and get a free midweek passport. So we're really looking to, as we get into the big season, focus on the low-hanging fruit that really we need to work on, which is our midweek business, right? Everybody wants more midweek. So that's where we are with our programs. one of the big things I want to talk to you guys about today is the success metrics, excuse me, that we use. I really would like, I know Jen and I have talked about making sure that we're all on the same page as far as what results we're presenting to you guys, and that you guys understand what those results are, how they're calculated, what they mean. But also, we want to know from you guys if you guys want to see other metrics that we're not reporting to you. We want to make sure that we kind of are in agreement on what is being reported, and so we're not missing anything where you guys are like, well, what about this? What about that? Oh, you know what? We want to make sure we're reporting everything you guys need to know, you know, what's happening with the marketing and is it successful. So to that end, digital web print analytics, where it shows percentages, they're year over year. So these are 10 key metrics that we've been reporting out. We have been reporting out some other additional ones, but these are the key top ones I want to make sure you guys understand. Paid digital impressions, 20.1 million to date. And from those 20 million online digital impressions, we've gotten 68,000 clicks to the website as a result, with a click-through rate of 3.4%. Industry average is about 1%. So I think, you know, we're showing really good results there. And I just want to kind of go over that, make sure if anybody has questions or on this, you know, just, I have a question and answer at the end, but if we want to kind of do interactive, that's fine too. Website unique visitors, we're up 32% this year. We're narrowing in on that 200,000 a year. Actually, this is only February, March, April, May, June. So we're only 8 months. This is only 8 months worth of results, and we're at 180,000. Taylor, do you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question. So right before you were talking about the CTR being 1%. It's 0.1%, right, or 0.34?
The industry average is 0.1%.
Got it. Okay.
The industry average is 0.1%, but our click-through rate is 0.34%.
Okay, which is less than 1%.
It's higher because it's 0.1. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's 1/10 is the industry average, and we have like a third. Mm-hmm. So we're 3 times the industry average.
Okay.
So we're a quarter of 1 full point versus just 1/10 of one
mm-hmm.
full point. Does that answer your question?
Sort of. I just don't get it. I guess I'm missing the 0.1% compared to 1%. I don't understand why there's a decimal point.
Okay. Yeah. So this is
1% is 1%.
It's
0.1%.
It's 0.1%.
Okay.
So it's just 1/10 of a full point.
Right. Exactly. So it's not 1%.
No. Did I say 1%?
Well, a couple people did so far.
It's 0.1%.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not a problem. Happy to clarify.
Yeah.
Don't want to create more confusion.
No, I was confused. I was like, why is there a decimal point if it's not, you know what I mean? If we're saying 1%, why is there a decimal point? That just seems stupid.
Yeah, so it's just because we're trying to show that it's just 1/10 of
I get it.
percent. Yeah. Okay, cool. So,
Marianne, to clarify other subtle details, this is a same exact duration comparison year over year, or is it all of the previous fiscal year to just 8 months of this year?
It's exact duration.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
So it's 8 months to the 8 months, yeah. So Jackrabbit searches, which is huge. We've really been focusing in on connecting people to the search engine on the website, which is really a great way for people to find out more about your hotel when it's not in paragraph form, right? They're going to what your listing is on the booking engine. They're seeing what your rates are. They're seeing some of the top aspects and amenities of your hotel, and then they have opportunities to dig deeper. Go to your website, click on your phone number. There's all kinds of ways for us to track how they're getting referrals, how you guys are getting referrals from this booking engine to your websites. One of the key ways of doing that is getting more people to do searches on the Jackrabbit site. So we've increased searches on that site 119% over the last 8 months. We're doing that through Facebook, really going hard after having, when we put a promotion on Facebook or an ad on Facebook, we're saying, click to book. This is how you book in Morro Bay. We're doing that for the specific events. We're saying, okay, we've got this, the Margarita Festival, the Avocado Margarita Festival. Here's the information. This is where you click to book. So they click right on. It goes directly to the booking engine. Yes. Aaron, do you have a question? Oh.
actually about to say, for the benefit of the audience and probably Sean as well, and a refresher for the rest of us, could you exactly define Jackrabbit as it relates to the entire system?
Yeah, sure. So basically, Jackrabbit is the booking engine that resides on the moreobay.org website. And it's a third-party site. However, you guys don't get charged for the use of it. It's how is the charge on that, Jen?
It's a monthly fee that the assessment pays. It's $1,250.
Right. So the cost of using this booking engine does not get transferred over to the hoteliers or the lodging members at all. So it is a panel on every single webpage on moreobay.org that you can click to book and put in your dates, and it takes you directly over to this third-party site that lists all of the hotel listings, hotel, motels, and inns, and gives rates. And is that...
Can I ask a question?
Did I explain that well?
Can I make a request?
Please.
I think that it would be really beneficial if at next month's meeting you could bring a laptop, plug it in, and give us a online. Is that possible?
Sure, and show and kind of give you a demo.
It would also be shown to our constituents. They can see how it actually works.
Sure, absolutely.
We can go online. We can look at what our guests are seeing. I think it would be kind of an interesting exercise. I've done it, but I think it would be really interesting for everyone to see. What is Jackrabbit? What is Morro Bay looking like? What is our? I like to look at it a lot.
Yeah,
and it's one of those things that it might be really interesting for our constituents to see.
I totally agree. We're in marketing. We live in the bubble. We assume everyone sees it and understands it like we do. Yes, Jen?
Just to give a quick interjection. So our next meeting is our annual stakeholders meeting, and we've done some very specific binders for each hotel that breaks out all of the Jackrabbit leaves that they have year over year, showing last year versus this year, and that might be a really good place to actually get online and show it is at that meeting, since we'll have all our hoteliers there.
Sure.
The other thing I was going to mention is the reason why these campaigns are doing so well is very heavily tied towards the added value that we're doing and the promotions that we're doing for Morro Bay as a whole. And what Marianne and I have set up is every single thing that we do, whether it's a room special or an added value, we have landing pages for each one. So anytime they click through, we can track and see what does well and what doesn't do well. Even if it's an outside event, we know what's booking room, well, not necessarily booking, but what's going through the booking engine or not. It's very interesting to watch.
And one last clarifying question. On number 5 up there, where we have 30,000 Jackrabbit searches, are those people that found their own way to moreobay.org and then searched on moreobay.org, or they came to 30,000 people from elsewhere that landed on moreobay.org?
Right. Good question. It's actually a combination. So we send... people directly through our campaigns to the booking engine. So that is why I think we're seeing this increase versus people just organically finding it on the website. Another reason why I think it's up high as well, because just since July, we have put the booking engine on every single page on the website. Before, it was only on a few pages in the homepage. So I think that the visibility is higher as well. So I think, organically people are finding it. But the combination of both is really what's driving the increase.
And we moved it above the fold.
And above the fold, correct.
And that happened in July?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Probably mid-July, because I started July 1, and that was one of the first things we activated.
Yeah.
It was probably running 100% by August.
Yeah, on all the pages. Yeah, it took us a little while to get it up, working with the third-party web management company.
So the July changes, is that partly have to do with the 30 to 40% increase you have in your major social medias? That's fantastic, right?
The
IG and FB both up 30 to 40% since July 1st. So possibly the changes to the booking thing had something to do with that, or did you change photographers, or?
So I think there's two things going on. So it's more visible for people who are finding the website, no matter how they're finding the website. So it's on every single page. They can. So if they're on the events page, they're like, you know what, I'm going to check out what the rates are. The booking engine's right there. If they're on whatever, what's free to do in Morro Bay, boom, there's the booking engine. Before it wasn't. However, as far as on the promotional side of things, particularly on Facebook, because we have a lot of flexibility with Facebook, we've created a lot of different links back to the booking engine itself, where it kind of bypasses morrobay.org, although it filters through morrobay.org, and it goes right to the booking engine. So, for example, on Facebook, we have an ad that says, the Avocado Margarita Festival, and it says on our ad, these are the dates. Don't miss it. You gotta, super fun. Click here to book. When they click here to book from Facebook, it goes directly to that booking engine, and that we track. And on each campaign, as I report them out monthly, you'll see on there the number of searches that were driven by those campaign ads specifically from Facebook. So per campaign, you can see how many searches we're driving.
The other thing, Marianne, that's probably increased our numbers is with our new campaign starting in July, we're probably 90% of all of our money goes to social buys. It's not print, it's not TV, it's not radio. It's very, very focused on social, which is where we're
and digital
making all the leads across. Yeah, digital. That's
digital,
what I mean.
Yeah. Digital, and we include social as part of digital.
Got it.
So there's two parts of social. So, I'm going to finish up the Jackrabbit, then I'll jump into the social here. So the searches there were 30,000 searches of your Jackrabbit booking engine. Of those searches, lodging referrals were 17,000 lodging referrals, so that's up 30%. And what that is when someone specifically clicks on the phone number. So when they go to the booking engine, it'll say, in Morro Bay, but it won't show the phone number. It won't show the website. They'll have to click on it to get the phone number. So that we call a referral. Okay, so they're actually interacting on your listing on the booking engine. So that's what that is. So moving on to social. So now these numbers here, these are paid campaign impressions and paid clicks versus the organic social that we'll do to, maybe increase likes, post a cute picture of an otter, that kind of thing. So that I'll report on a little later. But this is specific to digital ad buys, okay? So over the past 8 months, we've had, 2.14 million impressions through Facebook ad campaigns, resulting in 36,000 clicks with a click-through rate of 1.68. And industry average on Facebook for travel industry specific is 0.9. So we're doing really well on that. We have Travis running that, and he is super intuitive on social, does a really great job for us. And then paid print impressions so far to date is 2.6 million. And what those are co-op advertising opportunities. Will get in a print ad in the Visit California Visitor's Guide, which is usually $10,000, $20,000. So we'll co-op an ad with the Central Coast Tourism Council, a great tourism partner and friend to Morro Bay. And so it's that. We did a Birdwatchers Digest. We're doing a co-op through Visits Locale with American Airlines, and those types of print ads. Generally speaking, we're doing annual print ads. That's where the money's being spent. So it's an ad that's out in a visitor guide for a year. But there are a couple ads here and there that are specific to campaigns that we've done as well. So as far as those analytics, are you guys good with these numbers that we're presenting? I mean, is there something you think we might be missing that you would like to see? Because I want to make sure that everybody is, like I said, on the same page as we go into this year.
On the paid print impressions, that's based on what that magazine or that publication says is their distribution?
It's their distribution,
okay,
yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so this is I know we're short on time, so I don't know, Jen, do you want me to go into this? Keep going. Okay. So booking metrics. So one of our ad networks that we buy is a travel ad network called Adara, and they provide us with this really great information. In the graph to the left, on the top there, that's air. So we buy ads. They track our ads. They give us these analytics. What they do is they track. They partner with airlines and they partner with hotels. The top bar numbers there are booking, look to book, advanced purchase, and search to departure days that are being tracked into regional SLO airport. So when people are booking to come to SLO County, look to book is 16 days, advanced purchase 37 days in advance, and then from looking to departure is 54 days when people are flying. Hotel booking is the graph right below it. From look to book is 7 days, advanced purchase is 29 days, and search to departure is 36 days. So people are booking about 5 to 6 weeks out. And that's been the trend for a while. Discover Morro Bay. These are where our volume is coming from of clicks and impressions. Los Angeles is our market almost by 2 to 1. Santa Barbara is our next market, which I find really interesting. So I'm glad we're expanding up into northern LA counties and Ventura County and so forth. San Francisco, Fresno, Sacramento. That's kind of just the list of where the leads are coming from. And at the bottom here, just want to explain, too, that we've purchased almost 4.6 million impressions. We've gotten 6.9 clicks with a click-through rate of 0.15, Taylor, 0.15, to make sure we get the point in there correctly. And the cum revenue based on the hotels that they're tracking, so their hotel partners would be the flags that we have here. They're probably tracking about 3 or 4 hotels, so we're looking at about 10% of the actual hotels here. So the cum revenue that they're actually tracking is about $15,000, so add another 0 onto that. We'd say about $150,000 revenue has been generated by these ad buys, which to date we've probably spent about $35,000. So if you look at us spending $35,000 and we've generated probably $150,000 in revenue, it's a pretty good ROI. And then that last number is there, just people we've generated to Morro Bay. Public relations results. We've got 7 metrics here. Earned media impressions. That's all of the media impressions that we've calculated. That has online impressions and print impressions that we've generated from the feature stories and the coverage that we've generated. Estimated coverage views, what that is that we have an algorithm. You can see in the report that I send you, we report this out. What this is of the 1.69 billion media impressions, we estimate about 7.4 million people actually saw the features. So you know how that's calculated, right? Every month it's like, okay, this many people is going to go to the site, but the coverage views is this many people that actually saw it. Okay? Good? Social media shares. Now, this social media shares is specific to the public relations stories we've generated. So they were shared over 32,000 times, which is huge. So it's kind of like they got syndicated 32,000 times. Ad value for to date is 9.5 million. The publicity value is 28.5 million. Organic web search crawlers that we've created from the press releases and the distribution that we've done, we can see that 69,000 people searches have been generated from the content that we've gotten out there in PR, and almost 5,000 media views of our content and press releases and so forth. Yes, Aaron? Quick
question for you, Marianne. How do you calculate ad value and publicity value? Is it some sort of a multiplier you plug into impressions?
Yeah, the ad value we calculate based on the advertising value of what it would have cost if we had paid for that feature article or that article, right? So that's how we calculate the ad value. And then it's multiplied, yes, it's multiplied 3 times for publicity value, and that's industry standard. So basically, the publicity that we get from the articles, and it's kind of like readership versus distribution. Like you estimate this many people actually read the article, but there was only 60,000 printed, but we think 150,000 people read it.
Okay.
So the publicity value is larger.
Okay. Thank you.
Organic, okay, I've already done that, and then media views as well. Any other questions on this? And we'll go to the next slide. Good. Last slide, just organic social media results versus, like I said before, the campaign and ad results, the ad buys. So Facebook likes, we've increased 12,000 likes since July, so 34% year over year for these, or no, that's not true. It's not year over year. It's 34% since July 1. That's what that is. Instagram fans, 40% since July, and then Twitter fans, 11% since July. So that's what we got going on there. And that wraps up kind of our presentation. Yeah.
Just a quick question. So on
Sure.
the data that I was sent, I've got the calculation for the percentage on Twitter is looks like a 2%, and you have a discrepancy of 11% there. Just curious why the discrepancy in data.
So in the monthly report, it was month over month increase, whereas this is since July 1.
Got it.
So I think what I might start doing is on the monthly is just showing from July 1 on everything.
Okay.
So I think that's a good catch to be more consistent on that. Yes.
Regarding organic stats that you just presented, are those, again, specific to morrowbay.org, or are we factoring in hashtag Morro Bay? Do we have certain hashtags or mentions that we can, if we haven't, or can we consider those in some way that doesn't necessarily pertain exactly to Visit Morro Bay?
So there's a lot of things we can track. I mean, we can track hashtags, but it's only going to be a part of the story. This is, so it's Morro Bay, California's Facebook page specifically. It's not really any stats having to do with morrowbay.org. So it's just the Facebook stats in and of themselves, okay, based on just the number of likes. We could be also reporting out the reach of how many people we're reaching, and or the interaction, engagement, which I'm happy to do as well, if you guys would like to see those numbers.
Sure.
Okay.
If it's easy to toss in there, I think the more data,
Sure.
the better.
I like it.
You cannot have too much.
We like data. I agree. I
good
like
question,
analytics. I'm a geek. I can't.
Part of the reason I asked that is that from an organic perspective, it doesn't seem like organic shares and likes are going to revolve around hotel booking pages. They're going to be about mentions and hashtags that are maybe more of this intangible PR number as opposed to tangible dollar for dollar or $3 for $1.
Right. So that would come under engagement. So like, for example, if we share a photo or a video of otters and it gets shared 50 times, you know what I mean? That's totally organic. People are, it's not about a sales or marketing tool. And actually, this is a good time maybe to explain our strategy on the Facebook. It's in our marketing plan, and it'll be there again this year for the next fiscal year. I know you guys don't memorize that stuff, so I'll just share with you again. So we have a 40-60 strategy. Basically, 60% of the time we're promoting organically, the otter photos, really just fun stuff that's what people engage on. You know what I mean? And then we, 40% of the time, we're posting promotions. So we're posting, take a deep breath, stay in Morro Bay and get all these discounts on all these great activities and rentals, book now, and then that's when we're, those are the paid campaigns. That's a paid campaign side of it. So 60% of the time we're doing it organically, fun, fluffy stuff. 40% we're pushing promotions and getting bookings. So hopefully that helps a little bit on on the strategy side of things. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Thanks.
Much so. Any other questions, board? Seeing none. Marianne, thank you very much for the presentation.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate your time. Thanks.
All right, now, and forgive me, is there any? Charlie.
Hey, Marianne. I just want to mention I know that you know very much about Denver and Seattle flights.
Yes.
And I just want to bring it up that, there's an opportunity for us and the entire county with these 2 new flights coming in. And part of the metrics was Seattle is really low, on their
I think I saw 40,
40.
as opposed to 11,000.
And so it's just going to be interesting to see
right.
how that market grows.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, are we planning anything in the future for Morro Bay?
Yeah.
In those
So the way that we've structured the budget this year and most likely going into next year is really relying on our tourism partners to go after those bigger markets out of the area. So, for example, Visits Locale, they've got the multi-million-dollar budget to be able to afford to penetrate a market like Seattle. And so they are going to be doing ads there. The opportunity for Morro Bay is when a co-op advertising opportunity is presented. Like I mentioned briefly, and maybe I should have explained further, the Alaskan Airlines co-op advertisement that we're doing is a co-op through Visits Locale, and Alaska Airline is the airline that's going to start flying in mid-April up to Seattle. And so that's a key point of contact that we can engage with the budget that we have. So looking at the budget that we have, as I was talking about for the road closure and kind of our planning for next year, we're concentrating our dollars to be able to penetrate markets and really move numbers instead of spreading out the dollars, not too thin, but just thinner. And so we're kind of like hoping for for all these markets to come, but concentrating those dollars. That's where our main ad dollars are going. But we're going to take advantage of co-op through SLOCAL when we can.
And I think that symbiotic relationship is so critical to what we're doing, and for them too.
Yes,
Morro
for sure.
Bay is just a big part of what they're doing, and so good job.
Thanks, Charlie.
So, Charlie, on that same note, just so you're aware, we had our annual marketing retreat this week with Visit San Luis Obispo, and one of the discussion was how do we go after those new markets and how do we split up the budget, and the room was kind of split. About half the DMOs felt that the budget should be split 50-50, 50 into our current drive markets, San Francisco, LA, Valley, and then 50% into the new emerging markets, Denver and Seattle. And the other half of the DMOs were of the position 60% for our drive and 40% for the fly. I'm of the position of 60-40 because you can only put 77 people on a plane, and no matter how you divide that out, it comes once a day. And our drive market is millions and millions of people. So we do need to grow those, but at the same time, we really need to hold strong on our drives.
Right. And I'm sorry, just to piggyback. So actually from the marketing plan that came out from Visits Locale, they're not going to be putting dollars into the Valley Drive markets, which is why we kept that as a strong market for us to make sure that we're driving to Morro Bay. So, yeah.
I had a quick question for Jennifer. Jennifer, when I was looking at those numbers that you guys are just talking about now, and you're seeing these huge Southern California numbers, which is what I experience in my business as well. We have such a huge love of our area from SoCal. It seems like places like Camarillo and Ventura and Santa Barbara, I mean, all the way up, they all think about Morro Bay as a place to go. So I would much rather get 6,000 people compared to 40 people. I know that you're increasing advertisement, but I would say that man, if we're not advertising to other small cities down there in Southern California, we should increase. I mean, that makes so much sense. That's what you're saying, right?
We're blanketing all of them, Taylor. We're really going after anybody that we can reach out to, for sure.
Good comments, board. I would also open it up to public discussion or public comment, but seeing none, I believe we're in a position to move on to the next item, which is item 6, which is a marketing overview. 2017 fiscal year will be presented by our tourism manager, Jen, and I'll encourage you, board, as it's noted on here, Jen is looking for recommendations and thoughts from us. So let's dialogue. Thank you.
So this is not a yes-no vote on anything. This is more of I'm looking for direction on, as we go through this, feel free to interrupt me as we go through it. These are concepts and not, final decisions. So we put together a subcommittee that has met twice, and Marianne and myself chaired the committee. And we had Joan Solu, Jim Bray, Val Seymour, Erica Crawford from the Chamber, Bill Stanfield, Kirk Carmichael from City Rec, John Flaherty from Central Coast Outdoor, Travis he's our social media guru, John Solu from 456, and then Jane also came at the last meeting. So we had a good share of hoteliers, but what I'm really looking for with this group was an overall umbrella thought. We have Rec in there with John and Kirk, and then we've got Chamber. So I wanted to hear really where everybody's head was and what we can do to better Morro Bay to get more people to stay here. So some of the goals of this group was to establish a symbiotic marketing partnership with FeesLock and try to get as much as we can our months in line with whatever their target market is for that month. Coordinate an outreach to the target audience that are supported with cost-effective advertising promotions. To secure and agree on most beneficial target audience for seasonal promotions. Leveraging the tourism dollars and man hours to the best of our ability since they are limited. The database purchase from our first planning meeting, and then create and build events that are new to our area, not just what, Cayucos is doing or Pismo. Let's really go out there and let's look broad spectrum on what can we bring new to the market. So, really quickly, just to give you my kind of overview on, and I talked to the group about this was one of my biggest concerns is we have some needs for really large events in Morro Bay, and we don't have any sort of event planner. And how do we manage that? How do we manage that from a tourism side? We don't have the money to bring them on as an employee, and how do we adapt that situation to bring on new events and not bring on the cost of a full-time event planner? So we talked about that a lot as a group, and some of the things that we talked about was having an outside group manage some of these events and pay them a fee for that event planning. So kind of give them the thought and the structure that we like, that we think will bring heads and beds, and then let them run with the event. And then on a long-term basis, we're hoping that these events will really grow into substantial events like the Avocado Margarita and the Harbor Festival, where they are consistent and everybody knows every single year, go to Morro Bay for this event. So as you go through this with me, you'll see I have EPN on some things, and that's where I think that we would need to probably bring somebody in, or possibly need to bring somebody in. And I've spoken with a couple people about it. And, there's different ways that we can structure that. We can do like a flat fee with them, either between $4,000 and $5,000 to do an event, or they'll take a percentage of the event, but they have to be guaranteed, their base fee. So, I think there's some really great opportunities to kind of harness some of these local event planners and get them to build us some good events. I'm hoping. So this is my wish list, you guys. This is totally my wish list. So I started with July because we're coming up on it, and it's an odd month. We don't have fireworks. Cayucos has fireworks, and so does Pismo. And I'm sure all of you saw last year it got really dead about 1 on the 4th of July. And so how do we attract people? And so the group talked about it a lot. We talked about setting up, can we do a shuttle or a trolley service to Cayucos to watch the fireworks on Tuesday night? That's a 4-day weekend we're talking about. We need to figure out how to capture those people. And one of the things that came up was, we're very dog friendly, and dog owners don't like to go where there's fireworks. It scares the animals and they run away. So is that what we play on? Come to Morro Bay where you can bring your dogs and it's quiet, and you can, we can set up stuff for that. The question about that is we only have 17 hotels that are dog friendly. So we're talking about, roughly 50% of our total hotels. So I want you guys to think about that as a board, and I'd love your thoughts on it. I don't know what else we can do to pull people from Cayucos when they have fireworks. So
your apprehension there, Jen, is that the non-pet friendly hotels will feel ostracized
left
by
out.
this move?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
The campgrounds take dogs.
Yeah, you're right. They do.
As do the vacation rentals,
Yep.
oftentimes, and trailer parks.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be that the message gets, morphed into a serenity, come to our quiet serenity. And if you have a pet, the pets will love it too. Maybe a double-pronged approach to, come to a place of peace and serenity and quiet and celebrate independence in the peace and quiet. I don't know.
Doesn't the National Estuary Program of Morro Bay do a Dog Fest event every year or every other year? That's a rhetorical question. I actually work the event.
I don't know. So that's great to hear.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up in.
Is it that time of year?
I don't specifically know. I don't work for the National Estuary Program, but I do the event for free, and I've done it multiple times. It's Dog Fest. It's a big event for the National Estuary Program. It has to do with bags, which has to do with the environment, putting your poop in a bag, which is a great little thing. The news comes out to every single one and puts it on TV.
Okay. So I think that's a great thing to look into. I don't know if it's 4th of July weekend, but I was for this. I think it's a great trailer, definitely. So July is one of the places that we do not line up if it's about dogs for summer or Serenity. That's one of the places that we would not line up with. Visit San Luis Obispo. Their dog month is in a different time than ours. So some of the things I wrote down here that we talked about was scheduling Tidelands Park or something at the beach, having dog hikes. When you check in at your hotel, have like a nice little package for the dog owners that maybe has maps of where they can hike and take the dogs and parks and where they can pick up poop bags. And I mean, these things are really important to dog owners. Where can they go, and are they allowed at the beach or are they not allowed? Those things are really crucial. So, Taylor, you have a question?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, one of my favorite things about the city of Morro Bay is we have extensive line of parks that you can basically start from North Morro Bay all the way to the end of Morro Bay, going to Los Osos, and you could spend the whole day stopping at each park and walking your dog on a leash. If you haven't been to Bayshore Bluffs Park, you really are missing out. That's a gem.
Yep, I agree.
And so, Jennifer, I remember in a previous discussion where we were talking about this, I do think it's still a challenge for down on the commercial district, the Embarcadero area, where we have dog friendly, is having areas for the dogs to go and do their business, so to speak. And I don't know what the city can do about addressing that, but we get that question quite frequently from our guests who bring pets.
Quick question. Please do not vilify me or light me on fire on my way out the door. But since Morro Bay, from a tourism perspective and a hotel perspective, does perform well in July, do we need to give substantial effort to that month? Or is our energies better spent on shoulder and off-season efforts?
So
I love dogs.
I agree with
and
you.
I love Morro Bay,
and
so I'm just speaking critically here.
Right.
From a
so
tactical point of view.
June, July, August, we try to spend low to no money, Aaron, and I'm still right there with you. Okay. So doing, what I was showing on that first page as far as, there's very little cost in any of those things. It's just kind of giving Marianne's group something to use as a base to, spitball out to PR. You need something.
Sure.
And we really don't have anything. So the second thing that I put on here, and I don't know that this is feasible or that we'd want to do it for exactly the reason you're saying, Aaron, is do something like have the splash dogs come into town, and they're a really cool thing, and they could set up at the Rock or set up at Tidelands Park, and it's basically for dogs to see the length that they can jump in the water. It's kind of fun, and people love to come watch it. But I don't know that we need to spend money in July on that. I think if just having something strong that's on a PR side is where I'm at.
A low-cost promotional message.
It's kind of where I'm at.
Not a lot of effort. Sounds right. Thank you, Jen.
Okay.
Just had a comment on Dogfest. Dogfest is happening Saturday, May 20th, 2017. So it's with the estuary, and then I know they partner with the city as well on that. So it'll happen at Triangle Park, I think at City. Yeah, so you're right. You just Google it and you'll see the news out there, and they're going to do. So, one thought as we're talking about pets, have you ever seen the Purina Challenge? It's pretty cool. If anything, it's the Olympics for pets agility. And so I've never been to a town where it seems like everyone has a pet. I'm the only person on my street that doesn't have a pet, and I feel ostracized.
You can change that this weekend.
I can, yeah. You got to talk to my wife, though.
Okay. Run it by the boss, always.
But those are things, just, working with Jen, just trying to reach out to possible partnerships out there to bring kind of a local activity and see maybe it will bloom from a dog fest and expanding, and maybe we can switch it over to
a shoulder season event.
Yeah, a shoulder season event, or yeah. So, anyways, sky's the limit. So, just want to mention that.
I did see on the Splash Dogs that they have different sponsors like dog food, and possibly we have, we've got limos here in town that could possibly help, promote it and promote them. The other thing, we also have some dog groomers in town that could also be part of it. to make it more inclusive. So.
Okay, moving on to August. So August, it's another month that we really try to not spend money, but I would love to activate some things. So the things that we talked about as a group is doing ecotourism, and it would be really a self-guided ecotourism. And so my staff has been reaching out and putting together kind of a menu on morrowbay.org that you can go on that will allow you to see what you can do that's kind of ecotourism related while you're here. And it's self-guided. It'll have all the different hikes and paths that you can go. And then the other thing would be doing a voluntourism program. And again, this would be not any expense really to it. It would be a menu on morrowbay.org. And what we're seeing is a lot of the millennials, when they come into a community, they want to spend a little time, not a lot, maybe an hour, just to give back to a place that they're really enjoying and teach their kids how to do that. And so, we're looking at teaming up with Eco Rotary, National Estuary, Butterfly Grove, BMX Park, Morrowbay and Bloom, possibly Taylor's Group, and see what we can get on there as far as, on Tuesdays you can go plant this garden, or you can go, do this or pick up trash, or whatever it is. And it can be self-guided or it can be with a group. So it's one of those things that we can activate during summer, no expense against it, but it gives Metal Marketing something on a PR side to promote, and I really like the idea behind it. Taylor.
I like that one a lot because it's a little bit of investment of time because it's really other groups' project. But it's also a year-round thing that is really, for me, it's what's unique about Morro Bay is we have this very environmentally focused community that's very passionate, and I think it shouldn't be a surprise, very well educated. And I think that people are drawn to that as part of the reason they come to Morro Bay. So I like this one because it's not just for August. It's also something that you could build upon each year, and it builds into the business community as well, having to do with a lot of these nonprofits are tied to businesses and they're sponsored by businesses and their sponsorship. So I like this one a lot.
Thank you. We're hoping to have it up fairly soon. We hope to have it up on the site probably in the next 30 to 45 days. So it'll be there all year round, and people can do it whenever they want. Anybody? Maggie?
And a thought I have on it is that's not necessarily, I think it's good to promote it. I don't think it's necessarily would draw somebody to go, okay, well, I want to go over because on Tuesday I can go pick up trash on the beach. But I think once people are in town and are looking for something to do. So to me, if you could promote it in a way that, on Tuesdays and you have little banners around town or little flyers around town that say meet at this corner for this week's give back to the community event, where once people are here, it's something, oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, so Tuesday afternoon, let's show up here. I think you might get more participation. Just a thought on that.
Okay. Moving on to September. So September, Visit California and VSLOC is California Wine Month, so that fits right in line with our wine promotion that we did last year. Of course, we have Avocado Margarita Festival and Taste of Grove. Last year we had an added value that we did just right before the Avocado Margarita, just to help compression of hotels, was we offered free tickets if you booked a room, and it really helped fill the hotels. Those last 10 days we were having some empty rooms, so that was a good thing. And we'll do that again this year, and I'm working with the Chamber to have that be part of their grant this year, that they give us so many tickets. And then our added value was the free bottle of wine with a 2-night stay. Now, I have to tell you, when I started putting this together this last year, I had been here 2 weeks. I had no ground for, good camaraderie with any hoteliers or anybody. And so I'm happy that it did well. We only had 7 hotels participate, but it did do well with the hotels that participated. So I expect this year to do better. As a group, we talked about, stepping that up as far as California Wine Month here, and put together some packages that the hotels can promote with Wine Wrangler and maybe Uber driving, you to Edna Valley or to Paso to go taste, and then come back to the beach and stay in the cool temperatures instead of being in inland where it's going to be 100 degrees in September. Some new opportunities that are coming up. Central Coast Writers Conference last year was hosted by Pismo Beach, And I've already secured that for Morro Bay this year. It's a 5-day conference, and it has between 350 and 400 people that come to it average, and we will have 2 dinners that are for 150 people in town as well, so that'll be a nice boost. It's late September. I think it's like the 20th, starts on the 24th or 25th of September, so it's after schools are all back in. Another new opportunity that I would like to see if we can figure out is doing movies at the park. Maybe it's sponsored by between TBID and City Rec somehow, where we just have, just a screen up and you can go to Tylands Park and hang out, and just having some things that we can activate that a hotel guest would like. It doesn't cost them anything, and try to press up the end of September that gets kind of light for us. You guys like the movies in the park idea?
My comment would be that the movie in the park thing is a wonderful thing to do when you're on vacation. But what I like about going to the movie in the park, because I've done it in New York and I've done it in other places I've been on business, is I like experiencing the locals that are oftentimes there. Because usually locals who are building this population that are going, and then as a tourist you're going and you get to experience the locals and their movie and their community. So I think that if you're going to be doing a movie in the park thing, you really need to build it with the locals, and then the tourists would enjoy it. What's this Concerts on the Bay thing down there? I didn't hear you mention that one.
So I'm working with Slow Jazz to bring a concert series here in September and October, and I actually I'm going to just kind of tease you on it right now. I have a full staff report on it to talk with all of you about, and get your thoughts financially on how it would impact hotels. So it's pretty cool though, Taylor. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you much right now though.
Well, since you put it on there and I read it, we worked the concerts on the pier when they first tried getting funding to do the pier in Cayucas. We worked those, and that was a fantastic little event for the city and for tourists and for fundraising. And then we also have worked the small little just the really small event concerts at Avila Beach Golf Resort that they'll do on like a Friday or a Saturday. They aren't the big publicized ones that where you sell tickets, but they're more like a free concert. And those are actually really fun too. But again, you see this local drive there where you see a lot of the locals come out. So again, a local thing.
Any other questions on September, anyone? No? Okay, October. Yes.
Morro Bay has got 3 wineries, 3 tasting rooms?
Tasting rooms.
So I'm just thinking about, sending people to Paso. 4, right. I've only got 3 listed, but I think there's a 4th. That's right. So I'm just, and growing, and I would imagine that, one of the things I'd love to do is keep people in town. And, it worked in Cambria where we said, okay, we have our Cambria Wine Trail. And we only had 4 or 5 wineries there, but we got them passes, so we kept them from leaving and going to Paso or going to Edna. And not that those areas are, I'm just thinking about our, keeping them here, holding on to them and giving them something to do. Just a thought. The creation of a Morro Bay wine trail. It could be wineries and breweries. I don't know.
Go ahead.
And actually piggybacking on that, either Friday daytime or Sunday afternoon would be a great time for that, because I think everyone's looking to get that Thursday night booking or that Sunday night booking, because we can already kind of count on the Fridays and Saturdays.
I like that idea. I don't think we can ignore the fact that people come to taste in Edna Valley and Paso. I do think we need to find a way to capture those people and have them stay here versus staying there. But I totally agree we should build something for Morro Bay as well. It's interesting, when we did our restaurant passport that just finished, we had huge numbers, huge response on that. And we had almost no response to the wine offers. It was mind-boggling. The appetizers did well. All the food offers were off the charts. And the wines, the 2-for-1 tastings, which I thought was a good offer, we maybe had a dozen total. And we had 3 wine offers in it.
It's interesting. From last year, we know from the Merrill research study that was done at a county level, where we thought that we were a wine region. That was a tremendous amount of the reason the guest came. That study did divulge that the wine was not as strong of a draw as we thought it truly was. And I think that those may be the responses you're seeing. They're coming here for more of the culture, the lifestyle, and our friendliness. Those are far ranked above wine. So
the other interesting thing on the Merrill research, Aaron, that Marianne and I, were knocking our heads against the wall trying to figure out as they talk about wine tasting or having wine in Morro Bay was a huge response, but they're not specific about did they buy the wine at Albertsons, did they bring it from Paso, did they bring it from their home, or did they buy it at a restaurant with dinner. It didn't have a way to qualify how they were, so it was interesting. I mean, it showed big numbers, and that's why we did our, the original wine passport, and I just was surprised that we had so little redemption on it.
Right. And then in this coming year, those are details we can drill down into further as we learn from previous experiences.
Okay, going into October. So October, Visit San Luis. It's their culinary harvest fall month, which fits perfect into Maritime Month because we have our sustainable seafood that we do a lot with all over town. We have Harbor Festival. Maritime Museum is planning on holding open houses, and I've been working with Judy a lot on that to try to get them to press up the number of days that they're opened in October. And Giovanni has the GeoFest, which I don't think we can ignore. I think he does a really good job on it. He has, a ton of vendors that come to it, and it does really well. So I've put that on there as well. Some new opportunities that we wanted to bring to the board is to do a 5-day fishing contest with Verge's Landing, which again would fill that midweek, which we love. Fishermen, they eat, drink, fish, sleep. Eat, drink, fish, sleep. That's all they do. They want a hotel room, they want to get a meal, get a beer, and go to sleep, and get up at 4 a.m. and go back out and fish. So Verge's is all about it. They're super excited about doing it, and I think it would be a good opportunity for us. And then again, doing the concerts on the bay with slow jazz also in October weekends.
The Maritime Museum's working right now to bring a tall ship in for the duration of a week, which would have sailing opportunities as well as tour opportunities, and that would coincide with our open house for the Maritime Museum Interpretive Center, which we anticipate to be open for actually in September.
It's great news. Any other questions on October? Okay, we will move on to November. November, VSLOC, they promote Golf and Stay Month. So we have some things they don't directly line up, but they are outdoor, and the triathlon does really well. Superbration, as you know, it's primarily a local event. Last year I tried to see if there was a way we could kind of combine those two, and I know that was also a board request and we were not able to figure it out, but I do want to try to work on that again this year and figure out if there's a way we can do that. We have the kids get free stuff. Last year's, or not last year, but this year, when we ran it, did really well. We had 717 passports redeemed. And so we're figuring every kid has a parent attached to them staying at a hotel. So we like that. It was very little cost. I mean, I probably spent a couple $100 printing those up and getting them out to the hotel, so it's well worth the money. So we'd like to do that again. We'd like to step it up, have a little higher quality one this year. That was just a test, really, that we did this last year. One of the things that came up, and I was surprised by the group, is they brought up TBID spending dollars to add street lighting, as far as like kind of Christmas tree lighting, but that would stay up year round. So I put that on there. I was really surprised. That actually was brought up from a hotelier. So it's on there, and I'd love to know your thoughts or opinions on it.
I'd love to say something. I think that's part of a bigger picture discussion on how much we want to allocate towards things like that, how much we want to allocate towards special events, and I would actually like to see that in a 10,000-foot overview budget, and then we chip away at that, and if we have some surplus money left, I think street lighting would be beautiful. But there's a lot of other things we could do in town here that would be beautiful that really are a tremendous digression from our job as a board and to hotels. So rather than kind of chip away at these small concepts, we should take a step back, look at the entire fiscal year and determine what of these things we want to do, if any, before we just throw it in an item on a month. But I'm open to thoughts, Taylor. You feel, I'm sure, the contrary on this? I know you love your street lighting, and I love it too. I just want to put in the appropriate column for budget, that's all. Mary Ann?
I just want to add a little something to that. I think it was really more than street lighting, wasn't it? Like lights in the tree? Like it was like,
it was lighting the trees up, which
Okay.
would be absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. And it was to kind of connect the Embarcadero to downtown.
We just need to budget that, I think,
Of course.
accordingly. But Taylor, go ahead.
So I was part of the group that was originally talking about the lighting, and city staff got involved too. And I think that street tree lighting in the downtown would be so great, and I pitched this multiple times. But I also completely agree with Aaron as far as what my job is to do here. And I have this one argument on the street tree lighting, because I'm pro street tree lighting. I don't know if we should spend our TBID money on it, but I'm pro street tree lighting. I don't see us spending TBID money on street tree lighting and until there's things for people to do at nighttime where the streets are lighted. That's the point. So if you don't have shops open at nighttime, then what are my hotel guests going to be doing walking around in the light? Until you fix that, I don't see spending money on street tree lighting as going to be beneficial to the hotel stays, because there's nothing for them to do besides walk around and look at the lights. And they could do that online.
Excellent point, Taylor. Any other thoughts from the board?
So my original position on this, before that was on there, was my conceptual idea was to do a Santa's house, down the Embarcadero that opened right after Thanksgiving, was opened all the way till Christmas Eve, so that we had something consistent there every day through those quiet months. And
you're volunteering to be Mrs. Claus.
But this is where it came back to, was the group thought over that they would rather see permanent tree lighting. So. Moving on. So December, we have the Kids Passport that continues into December. VSLOC, their promotion is Holiday Travel Month, which is perfect for us. So Lighted Boat Parade, this to me is a new opportunity. What I would love to do is to work closely with the Rotary and see how we can make this a 2-day parade. And my thought on it is to go after each restaurant that's on the waterfront, ask them to sponsor a boat. So now you're doubling the amount of boats that are in the parade and make it a 2-day parade. And then TBID comes in with some large cash incentives to get people to actually participate. And you could do a non-motorized, prize, and so you get the kayakers and the paddleboarders, and you can do a commercial boat, and you could do a private boat. I mean, you could do all different levels, but I think one of the keys is to getting the restaurants on board to step up and participate, and give them 2 nights of great restaurants instead of just the one night.
I have a comment on this one. So with the boat parade thing, boat parade is such a part of Morro Bay. When I first moved to Morro Bay, Harbor Festival and the boat parade were things I knew about. My problem with focusing on making the boat parade, which I always felt was like a locals event. As a local, I felt like that was our locals event. Everyone's gone. We come out and we come down to the boat parade. If you were to increase the number of people going to the boat parade, where are they going to stand to see it? Because the waterfront's not that big, and the viewing points aren't that large. And when we really have a good turnout, Marley can't see. My daughter, I have to lift her up, and I'm 3 or 4 lines back. So I don't know if investing in making that event huge would be a great idea, because I don't know if the infrastructure would support it. And that would be my only thing is, I don't know if I'd go to the boat parade if there's a whole bunch of people down there, because then my daughter's not going to be able to see it. And the only reason we really go is to take Marley.
One potential, I see that exact situation, that problem come up. Because there's no real defined end to the boat parade, there is an opportunity, if it grew to a certain point, that you bring in a few food trucks or something at the Rock, and it actually continues through the along that open gap, and then there's plenty of standing room, from the beach all the way to the Rock there. But yeah, if as it currently stands, there doesn't seem to be the infrastructure to support it, I would say.
One thing, Charlie, go ahead.
the recent dredging, which has caused some pain and noise and refunds and cancellations, has also opened up the channel all the way back to the back bay. And I know the Harbor Department was working last year. We actually moved the parade one day based on the ultra low tide.
Yeah.
We had tried to expand that. Of course, it was very self-serving. The Inn at Morro Bay would love to have the parade go right by the big windows and the view of the rock and everything. Now it can. And so expanding it and having more boats available and a longer route will also bring the people from the State Park Marina to go, hey, we want to join this too, because it's been the main Embarcadero boats coming. Let's get more and have more fun. And the dredging has allowed us now to actually create a route that the Harbor Department will agree upon, taking it back further.
That's interesting.
That gives you all that park area all the way, the whole way. It's just, in my opinion, it's ideal. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping they can expand it.
So then it would expand the viewing opportunities as well.
Yeah, and tagging on to what Sean said, like if you put food trucks or something down there in Tidelands Park, and then that whole area becomes a little, you make it be, you put a little Santa's house there, people come down, it's a whole evening. So I like that idea.
So the two-night, one thing I just want to mention, the two-night part would be, or could potentially be, so the first night, so let's say Friday night would be the boat viewing. So all the boats would be decorated, but on docks, on moorings, and so Friday night would be people just looking at the boats, decorated, lit up, like moored or docked, right? And then that's maybe when some of the voting could take place the Friday night, and then, there's so many ways it could happen. And then Saturday night would actually be the parade. So that's the two-night opportunity instead of a parade each night, right?
I was thinking a parade each night.
Oh,
so,
you were? Okay.
So my thought for Taylor and Sean that are worried about, the crowds, if it runs 2 days, I think that you're spanning people out to come either a Friday or a Saturday instead of pressing everybody to come one night.
Right.
So my response to you guys is I think it would lessen the load for locals and county people coming to watch. That's the people that we have the issue with, not the people staying in the hotels. It's all the cars and the people that want to come for the one night. The hotels can't, the restaurants can't fulfill the needs. They do like 5 menu items and that's it. They cannot do normal menus. It's like really intense for them.
Mm-hmm.
So do you guys 2-day or not? Do you like that idea? Should I keep moving on it? Or I don't know that it'll happen, but I'm looking for your thoughts on it.
My concern, if you double, I love the idea of 2-day, naturally, if we can get larger events here, but if you double the length of it, you need more boats, and then if you try to go to 2 days, you're effectively quadrupling the size of the event. I'd almost prefer for it to be a very impactful one night than to be a fizzled out 2-night week thing, and I don't know if you're in a position to grow it that sizably in the next 7 months. Do you think you are?
I'm not sure what the restaurants are going to say about stepping up, to be honest. Okay. So maybe what we do, Aaron, is we go after the restaurants for a one-day event, after the restaurants to, buy into a boat and, sponsor a boat. So now you have better boats for the one-day parade, and if they do that, then maybe next year or the year after, then we go to 2 days.
Because I would just hate to get bad press that it was weak, 2 nights, really diluted, and no fun.
So question, if the restaurants are already maxed out on that night, then what is the incentive for them to increase the population? Right? If they're already maxed out in their sales, then why would they want to have more people come? Because they're already maxed out. Why would they invest $400 to have more people come when they can't see any more people? That's another point. Because it's not going to work unless the restaurants get in and have all those boats, and we don't want to spend $400 for each boat, so we need them to spend $400 each boat. So how are we going to get them to spend $400? You got to give them an incentive.
I think it needs to be explored.
By adding the extra day.
Yeah.
That gives them the...
What if there was just an exploration of it? Maybe we even do a survey to some of the restaurants, or you go out and you kind of get some feedback and stuff like that.
As someone who is in the in the process of organizing a fleet of decorated kayaks, I can say with complete certainty that there's no way that we would do it 2 nights in a row. So maybe there's an opportunity, and I would think, most people just want to go big for one night as a boat owner. And so maybe there's an opportunity, if you want to do 2 days, I'm not sure if that would work, to have different themes the 2 different days. Like, for example, if Friday night was kayak tour or something like that, so that people are all in for their night, no matter what that theme is.
Yeah, as a boat owner, I know that there's a lot of expense and there's a lot of setup and tear down and cleanup too. So even though I like the idea of having a double whammy, I think the one night parade's probably the way that most people. I think that we would see one night would be less and one night would be heavy. I think the main big night needs to be the focus. That's just. But I'm kind of digging the idea of doing a kayak, kayak canoe, paddleboard. Could be Friday night. It could be really exciting and different. It'd be really a different thing.
And it could be a little bit earlier because it's hard to see those people, even with their little lights and flags. You put it at dusk instead of, 2 hours later.
The Angels, did you see the Angels? I mean, yeah, so paddleboards, non-motorized.
That made some news? That made some press.
Yeah, so even at Halloween as well.
Really cool.
I mean, you could activate that type of group. I mean, there's a lot of the community that would come out. So, I mean,
that's great.
It's a great idea.
They have specifically asked us to not promote them, just so you know. I'm being the Witches and the Angels, it's their deal. They will not tell us when they're going to go out, and they do not want to be promoted. Love Morro Bay.
There you go.
It's cool.
Yeah,
so the other thing I was thinking about, it's just their little thing that they do as a group. The other thought, thinking about food trucks, maybe even something would be better for Morro Bay in Tidelands Park is to open it up to all the nonprofits to put up a booth and have like a little food kind of venue down there with all the nonprofits. So, because if you bring a food truck, now they're not paying city tax against the restaurants. How are the restaurants going to feel? But if it's the Morro Bay nonprofits, high school and band and all those people, that might be kind of fun. Yes.
One last question on December. I kind of loved the pitch you guys gave on the whole this big event. I don't even remember what the event was about, but I do remember that it was this big. And I was kind of like, if we were talking about like events, that was one of the best pitches I've heard. And when you're talking about event coordinators, I've worked with a lot of event coordinators since 2009, and I really feel that like event coordinators are so valuable, but they're most valuable when you have a great event to put them with. So if you don't have a great event, a great event coordinator doesn't make the event happen. So what I'm saying is like maybe, if you have a great idea like we've already been given, and I haven't talked about it since then, why? Let's talk about doing a great event in the winter season or the off season, and it should be this big. See how I just keep on using that? Okay.
Totally agree, Taylor. I only put event planners on a few things, as you'll notice when we go through all this. So going into January, we're going to move on from December. January, Winter for the Birds did really well this year, and we want to do it again. We want to do our passport again. Again, I mentioned earlier that we had very little wine redemption, which I was shocked by. Total passport redemptions was 186, which I was very happy with. We actually did not get it produced and out until January 10th, so we missed the first 2 weekends of January. So considering it was really a 6-week push, I think it did really good, and I think it'll do even better this next year. What I found was when I was knocking on doors is, again, this apprehension from restaurants to want to be involved. I heard a lot of, it doesn't work, and why do I want to do this? And I mean, I just pleaded and got all these people into it, and now they're all very happy with the success, and we've actually had restaurants calling since then wanting to be involved. So next year I think it'll be really, really good. So I'm thrilled with that. Some of the new opportunities I wanted to kind of bring up as a thought is, how do you grow the bird idea, not their festival, but the bird idea into the entire month of January and maybe even going into February. And this was one of the things we talked about with Kirk from Rec is, can we set up like hikes or walks, to see the monarch butterflies or to do bird watching? Could it be like the City Rec doing kayak or boat tours from the bay side? So now you're kind of changing the position beyond the water and look at the birds from the water side. So those are kind of some of the thoughts that we were putting together. Doesn't need an event planner, but I like the idea. I think it's good for those midweek, 40 plus people that can travel and have money to spend to kayak and spend money on rentals. So that was one of the things we talked about, and I still really like that idea. What do you guys think about those? You like those? Yeah? Okay. We'll keep moving on that idea. So for February, February is still very vague in my mind. I'll just talk briefly about it. So it's still winter bird, time. We call it Winters for Lovebirds. And for VSLOC, they promote the Romance Month, so it's perfect fit, obviously. Marianne and I were talking that the Slow Wine Alliance does not have any sort of an off-season wine event that they do. So maybe we pair with them and we do like their sparkling wines instead of their regular wines and do like butterflies and bubbles. So we've never really promoted our monarchs, and we have quite a good, few trees. I mean, they're in city parks. I love it. So maybe, at the golf course and at Del Mar. So maybe that's where we need an event planner to come in and help build this idea of an event to bring in February. So that's one of the things that I put on there. Just, it's very loose, work in progress. Continue the hikes and the walks, self-guided or led by maybe the rec department, same with the kayaking and the bird tours from the bay side. And then the other thing that I was talking with actually the Morro Bay History group, and they weren't hot on it, but I'm going to find somebody that'll do it, is doing some sort of like a city-wide bridge tournament that has cash prizes from TBID, and it roams all over town. So it can be held in homes. It could be held like in historic homes, and you pay into the bridge tournament, and it's here for 4 or 5 days, and you get your house for that day that you go to, or it's a restaurant, or it's a hotel. I mean, we could have them all over town. And so these people roam around to the different place that they play bridge at for that morning or afternoon session. I think it'd be kind of fun, different, and again, it hits that 50 plus market that can travel midweek. They love bridge, or all different types. Huh? Yeah.
I said my grandma plays bridge. I don't know how to play bridge.
What do you guys think about February?
Can I jump in? I already did. So in February, I love that, Jen, that you keep on running with these environmental kind of the kayaking and the like the local stuff. I just feel like that's our strength, and I know that it's not big numbers, but it's the workhorse. If we work on that stuff, we get those are the hotel rooms. So I really do. I feel like that it's also more work on you, which is I just love you as an employee. I did wanted to add something that when we talk about butterflies, when we talk about the kayaking and all this stuff about the bay, and Charlie brought up how, the further you go back, the more you see, and there's beach back there, there's a great Morro Bay Inn. One of the things I've been reminiscent over the years is, as far as facilities go in Morro Bay, one of the things that we have that's here already is a golf course. We have a giant, gorgeous located golf course with tons of history. And we do very little as far as pushing tourism towards that. We don't talk about like golf month or like, golf promos or like golf stays or anything. And it's kind of like, well, why not? We already got the golf course. So for me, like if you could tie those things to the golf course, or let's start using what we got. If I could do promo packages to go tour the dead power plant, I would. My point is we got these things, so let's use them.
Might be a perfect for wellness month to get out on the green.
And the Monarch Grove, I didn't add that, but the Monarch Grove, there's actually an existing giant Monarch Grove that rivals the Pismo Grove in the golf course state park, and it's up near the driving range. And we've had multiple things. We did 50 trees for 50 Morro Bays up there. We planted during the 50th anniversary, and so the golf course is just waiting for us to do more with it. And events on the golf course are fantastic. I don't know if you saw the Oyster Festival 2 years in a row there. It was amazing.
Taylor, you are such a wealth of information. I encourage you, at any time, like the 50 trees for the 50th anniversary, any stuff like that you're doing, please send it to Jen and me. We can use this information in our public relations and outreach, and that goes to all of you guys, because you guys all have your fingers in different, different ways and different committees in this community, and we're constantly looking for what's new, what's happening, what's cool, and that, what you just said, is pretty cool. So.
Okay, we got to keep moving, so go ahead.
I've got one thing I'd like to see in January, a possible photo contest with the with the Winter Bird Festival happening. It may be it could be January, February. It could be something we promote as nature photos. It could be in February we do a romance photo. And I'm not talking boudoir photo. I'm talking about some, glam action, but, a picture of love. Send us your pictures of love. January, send us your wildlife and bird photos. Just thinking of ways to promote.
So Charlie, you must have a mental thing, because we are doing one. So maybe you saw it but don't remember seeing it. So we did one for Winter Bird Month, and we had really great response. Yeah. So we did it to grow our bank of photos is what we did it for, and we offered a prize at the end, so it did really well. But yeah, good job, Charlie. Okay.
Love the energy. Quick question to board members, especially Sean being new here. I'm just noting the time, kind of the traffic cop of conversation. It is almost 10:40 right now. We are not even halfway through our agenda for the day. So, question to the board members, how long, Sean, actually to you, were you aware of how long these may go?
Yeah, I've sat through a few of these. Not TBID in particular, but yeah, I'm well aware. I don't teach until this evening.
Okay. So we don't want it to go for too long then. I just want to note the time to everybody.
I'm focusing on getting us out of here at 11. Yes. We have double duty here because we didn't have February.
Okay.
Okay, let's keep going.
Continue.
Okay. So back to just one last thing, Citywide Bridge Tournament. I did put the possibility of doing an event planner for that if we do that, because I think it would require, if I can't get a nonprofit on board, we would, if we wanted to do that, we'd have to get somebody in there. And so I don't know if we'll be able to do that this year or next.
I have advice on that one.
Yes.
Morro Bay Beautiful is a nonprofit group that has been around forever, and they do the citywide yard sale every year, very independently too. It's their event, and I mean it's a city event, but they're running it, and I like that about them, and that they what they do take on it with responsibility, and they own it. And their age group is the age group you're looking at. So if I were to go to a group, that's the one I would go to. And Ann Reisner and Ron Reisner are really quality people.
Okay, moving on to March. So March is what I'm calling Renew and Wellness Month. We don't fit at all with FESLOC, but we've been talking with a couple different people that want to get some events going, and so this is kind of where it's falling with us. We have the citywide yard sale, which is very strong, like you just mentioned, so we're going to just keep going with that. This year's Slow Movie Festival has movies at the Bay, which is awesome. I'm hoping we can make that a yearly part of their festival. For new opportunities, so the thought is that this month is dedicated to renew and reuse and bettering health and environment. So one of the things we're talking about is a ladies' wellness event, and try to get a big sponsor on board at either Dignity Health or Mind Body, and have them come in and be the, Dignity Health presents, wellness at Morro Bay, and you do yoga on the golf course. And I've been talking a lot with Sandy Twist about this. This is kind of her springboard that she's started, and that would need an event planner. And then the other thing that I would love to get going in this whole mix, because we have the citywide yard sale and it does so well, is what about doing some sort of an antique event on Morro Bay Boulevard in that kind of no man's land that we have. and build something in there. The one in Cayucas does really well, and I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to pull something like that off, fairly easily in Morro Bay.
Okay, so I think we're losing the Merchants Festival this year, right? Gone. So, and that was 2 events, right? It's gone. Okay, so you need to replace those. But the March, those events are gone. I totally lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Anyone else? Keep working forward, everybody? Okay. Taylor, just yell if you remember. Going on to April, so I'm super excited about April. It's super windy here, and why not take advantage of it? So I'm calling April Soar into Morro Bay, and eventually I'd like the entire month to be about wind and have wind-generated events every week. Kite Festival is very strong. This is the one spot I was telling you we don't match up with Wiesloch with their pet-friendly. We have it in July right now. The added value that we have for hotel is the activity passport. And so I came up with this idea of doing a wind energy event, get like PG on board to sponsor it, and do a soapbox derby on the sand. And so you have to build a vehicle that is generated or moves by the wind. And I think it would do really well. I think it'd be really fun, and we can have like professional land sailors also come down and do like a thing on it during that as well. I think it would get huge response from Cal Poly and all sorts of fun geeks and parents with their kids building these little soapbox derbies, and nobody's doing anything like it. So I think it's the type of thing that I could get PG&E hooked onto because it's so out of the box and it fits right in their wind energy thought process.
I love the idea, Jen. The only thing that I would note is it does seem prudent for us to consistently tie in our promotions to what SlowCal is up to. As you noted at the beginning of the meeting, they do have a multi-million-dollar budget. We have substantially less. So it seems prudent to always create synergy with their promotions within each month. So can we continue to do that?
We can put something absolutely pet-oriented in this. The thing that we can't do is if we want to do Dog Days of Summer and give Marianne something on a PR side to do in July, which we can still do, and then we can also do their pet month in April. Okay. We can do that, but I really think we need something to bolster July a little bit on 4th of July specifically.
Sure, and there's no reason we couldn't do both. It's just I'm
right.
also on a strategic subcommittee for the CBID, which the whole Highway 1 Discovery route, and that's a conversation we're also having with SlowCal, is aligning these promotions, and then you really start cascading out this tremendous effect to all of our Tier 2 and Tier 3 markets. So I would personally really like to see always those run parallel. Thank you. Taylor?
All right, I got my thing for March.
I knew you'd come back.
Yeah. With the Merchants of Festivals being gone, what I was going with that was what was great about those little events was that we had the downtown streets and we had this crafty kind of stuff out. And your lady, and that's just wrong on my part, but the ladies' health event made me think about that. In March and April, we're kind of a time for ladies' events, let's say. I love those festivals, those street ones, because our neighbor who makes all these different clothes, those were her big events every year. And I wish that there was some way to tie those together. I have no idea how to do that, but if you could do some kind of event in that season having to do with some kind of craft outdoor thing like the Merchants Festival used to do, I thought that was a lucrative event. I thought it worked well. I thought that organization was the reason it failed. So I wish you could bring something back like that was for kids and families, and I saw a lot of women there.
And that might fit really well into the ladies' wellness event because it's renew and reuse, so that might be a perfect fit. I agree with you. It's really too bad they're gone, but we'll figure out something with it, okay? Going into May, so May is Roll Into the Bay, whether it's 2 wheels or 4 wheels. May is the month to be in Morro Bay. We've got the car show. Morro Bay High School has their car show in February. We're hoping to see if they will move it to May, maybe back up or before the Morro Bay car show, just to extend that. We have Amgen. Hopefully we'll bring that back again next year, Memorial Weekend. And for VSLOC, it's their National Bike Month and Travel Month, so it fits perfectly with them. Some of the things that I want to do on new opportunities is possibly do this idea of bikes, blues, and brews, and really get into the local smaller venues and have them put on concerts and try to put some things together to promote people to come in and go to the Siren for a concert or to Otter Rock and the different areas around town. So that's kind of the idea behind that. And we run that Friday and Saturday all month long, just, speckle it all around town at different venues, possibly outdoor at, one of the parks, all different things. That would need an event planner. That's a big deal.
Jen, I've actually already put on my notes here, we'll discuss it right at the end, declaration for future items. We need to really put this on the agenda, is how are we going to handle an event planner, and is there some sort of split cost we can do with the city?
I think what I'll do after I have this outlined from you on what I'm taking off is I'll go back through, assess the costs, and try to really pare it down for April on what we're talking about. Yeah,
I feel like in some ways to truly promote this area, our hands are tied for lack of an event planner, and it does get a little gray from our objective. But I think the whole community would benefit from having something to that effect.
Yeah. And Aaron, it does get gray, but at the same time, looking at the budget that I came into, there were some things that I think we could use that money this next year and not do, like the retail trade shows that were done like Fresno and Bakersfield. We see no impact from a tourism side, and those were a lot of money. So those are 3 events that were done this year. I'd probably take those off and try to move money like that to something that would impact overnight stay physically here, like an event planner. Okay.
I'll just maybe quickly add that on the bike, blues, and brews, it sounds like an awesome idea. Most of our venues are really close together, or you have to deal with the hill. So if I know that there's some bike events, and I'm a cyclist myself, it may function a little bit better as a walking tour than a bike tour, although I'm not sure to what extent we want to attach bikes to that. I love the idea of bike tours, but the venues are so close together that I would almost see that you have to go to some sort of checkpoint away from, somewhere towards the Rock or somewhere else where you do a lap and pick up something. And if bikes are an essential part of that, I'm not sure how.
What I was kind of thinking, Sean, was bike into Morro Bay for the weekend. So let's say you're on your road bike or whatever, you come stay in a hotel for 2 nights and then walk to your concert, not take your bike. But
right. That makes more sense.
But the idea is get outside and ride here because the weather's amazing to get on a bike. June, basically, we're fairly dark in June, just doing our normal promotion midweek lodging, focus on family outdoors. We'll have our ecotourism already online and have that all running. So that is the end of all that. Thanks, guys, for wading through that. So the next thing I'm going to briefly talk about, this was what?
Can I chime in on June?
Okay.
I don't see Cal Poly graduation on here, and I also don't see any Cal Poly related events, and that's a pretty big market. So I teach 100 Cal Poly students every quarter. There's a parents' weekend every quarter that might be worth at least some small ad buys to coincide with the parents coming here, and move-in weekend in September, and of course graduation in June.
We do have all that, Sean, in our full marketing plan. This was more just conceptual outline on what we want to grow for next year. So our complete marketing plan, once we have our budget from City Treasurer, we'll put all that together and bring that back to you for approval. We're going to take a quick break. Okay?
Yes, board, let's take a 5-minute intermission, stretch our legs, and come back for round 2. All right, folks, thank you for indulging us with a brief intermission. Nature called for a handful of us up here. We are also noting the time. It is going on 11 a.m. right now. We have been at this for a couple of hours. We do not want to rush any of the remaining items on the agenda. They are all important. So we are going to adjourn at 11:30 today. Jen and all of us have spoke about some of the more pertinent items. We will get those done today. Anything we don't get to, we will cascade that to next month's meeting. So, in interest of the most time-sensitive items, we just finished item number 6. We are going to jump to item number 8 on here, which is the 2017-18 grant application overview. Jen, go ahead and talk us through this process, please.
Great, thank you. So this is the grants this year for upcoming events and opportunities. I do not have the final amount that will be in my budget for the grants this next year, so you'll notice on the attached documents, I've taken out, last year I think there was a total dollar that the board or tourism was giving as that was listed in grants. I've just taken that out. So once city budgets are completed, I'll be able to adapt that and we can see how much we have. Hopefully it should be more than $60,000, which was last year. So on the staff report cover sheet, I've got the dates set up on here. So today we're going to go through this application, see if you have any changes. I'm assuming you'll have very, very little changes because it's similar to last year. The grants will open on the 20th, and I'll make sure that they get sent out to everybody that received or applied for grant last year. Plus we will put it in press and get it out socially so everybody knows there's grants available. They will close on May 15th. On the 24th, the grant task force will review all of the applications and set up recommendations for you. And then at the TBID meeting in June, we will award those grants. Okay? So looking at the application, which is the few pages behind it, the first page, really nothing has changed. Like I said, I just took out the total dollar amount that was going to be used for grants. The only place that I really made a change is on page 4. There was a grant funding request, and the way that this read last year, which I just think shouldn't be on there, was you had, like, see, it says days, and you check either a 1-day event or a 2-day event. Well, last year it had a dollar amount associated with whatever people filled out. So there was an assumption by a grant application person that they would be getting these physical dollars based on what they had assigned. And that's really not how this process should work. It should be, based on what's going to be a good event and is workable and what they need to make it work. So I just took out those dollars that will assess, what we think that we can do financially for them against what they're requesting. Other than that, I did not make a lot of changes. But you guys have any questions on the application at all, or anything that you see I should add or change?
Jennifer, I just... on the page, the one where event history and future projections, where we ask them for number of room nights, are event people applying for this, are they able to provide fairly accurate numbers there for how many overnight stays, room stays there were? We ask them for that. I guess it's not required. How do they go about getting that information to submit it? Because to me, that's a very important component of it, but I'm just wondering how accurate they can report that.
It's projections, Maggie. So events that have been around a long time know specifically how many people come from out of town versus locals that come to the event, so they can make an assessment on that. Things like the wrestling tournament and the volleyball tournament from the high school, they know very specifically because they know how many people register for it. So it's an assessment. It's just a guess, but they do a pretty good job. And when it goes to our panel that reviews them, we ask them a lot of questions about, why they've made the decisions on how many room nights it'll account for.
Got it. Okay. That's
and Maggie,
good. Thank you.
We may just have to take it with a grain of salt because you're right. This data may not be accurate when they put it on here. So.
Good question, Maggie. Are there any other questions from the board then?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Tia.
I don't think you can change this, but a question I had from the public would be the dates that we have this go out is so difficult for the events because they actually don't get awarded the grant until June, and that's in the middle. I mean, you're already 3 months into the event season. So is there any way in the future that we could adjust the dates that these come out? Like, it'd be best if the grant thing was done and it concluded by, event season starts in April. So it would shift.
I believe we're doing this from a fiscal year perspective, though. Isn't that the case then?
And unfortunately, the grants fund in July when our budget rolls. So last year, the applications did not go out until June. So I was trying to move it forward, and I can definitely move it forward farther next year, but they still will not get the funds until July. But they should be able to fund that, if they plan out 9 months, they should be able to do that.
I know that it's their job to plan ahead, but I also know that, like, the event business, if we're trying to get events, it's our job to try to help them.
Part of it was to actually, redo the forms and make them better and make it more. And so that was, I think, part of the process. And now that we have this form in place and it will be used, you could start it in January. So.
Excellent. Good questions. Taylor, are there any other questions from the board? Since we are going to be looking for Charlie.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the grant application as written.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 5-0. Now, once again, in the interest of moving forward expeditiously to time-sensitive items, we're going to jump from 8 to item 10 on here at Jen's request, which is the grant sponsorship for the Slow Jazz Series in October.
Yes.
Take it away, Jen.
Okay, so I know I was not telling you a lot about this earlier, so now I'm very excited to talk about it. This is a series that we want to bring in for September and October this year. And, we've been working really hard to figure out how do we do this during these months? How do we not impact the tourism staff, which is, kind of me, trying to get out there and do this stuff. I can't, build the fences. And you have to really think about how can I bring in a concert easily and quickly for this year, see how successful it is, and really work towards a 5-year projection on getting a very, very strong concert series. And that's really what I did with this concept. So what I'd like you guys to look at today is look at this overall with this proposal by Slow Jazz. Tell me your opinion if I should keep moving forward to work through this, or if you don't think it's viable financially for us. So the concert series, what I would like to do or like to recommend is to do year one at the parking lot at Giovanni's. They project that they can hold 300 people in that parking lot. What it allows is it's all pre-fenced, and that is a big deal, to have a viable gate and fencing so that they can ticket people and have a cost for those tickets coming in. So what I really like about this is the view, and I see this as being sunset concerts every Saturday. Who else can say concerts on the bay? Is there anybody else in our county that say concerts on the bay? And I think projection-wise, on a long-term basis, this will be a huge deal for us. I really do. So Giovanni has been very gracious to step up and say he's offering us the parking lot. He's not charging a cost to use the lot, and he's absolutely on board. Totally on board, which I'm thrilled about. So financially, the way this would work is Slow Jazz Festival would get the gate, so they'll get the cost of the tickets. Giovanni would get the food and the wine sales, so he'll set up out of his one kitchen food, and then he'll set up 2 bars in the facility, so he'll get food and wine sales will be his benefit, and then our responsibility would be the per concert fee, which is $10,800 plus table and chair rentals and a dance floor. Talking with Scott from Slow Jazz, he's really trying to get a major, fish online here, either PG&E, Mind Body, Dignity Health, somebody to come in and be the anchor sponsor for this. And so my agreement with him is if he gets one of those people to come on board as the signature sponsor, that he would take off the cost of the chairs and the table rentals and the dance floor from bid, and all we would have to do is the per concert cost. Last year, he came to us, and he really wanted to have a concert here. He wanted to have one concert here in Morro Bay, and Charlie worked with me, and we went all over town, and we could not make it work. I mean, we just couldn't get a facility to work. And so I've been really actively trying to get this resolved. So this series is, it's a 3 or 4 month series that he does all over county, and he just goes to one community at a time. And what I'm doing is I'm locking up mid-September to late October, locking up every Saturday, so people know every Saturday go to Morro Bay for the concert. Cool. Like that idea? And then the other thing I thought we can do to increase our room nights is have all of our local, Siren, Otter Rock, Morro Bay Wine Cellars, Legends, have all of our local events do Friday night events so that people know Friday, Saturday night, this is the place for music, and come to Morro Bay. You like it, Taylor, huh? Good. Okay. So there's a visual of Giovanni's dock. I want to kind of show you how this would work. So by his patio umbrellas, he has bathrooms right there, so they can use the bathrooms that are all ADA compliant. Most likely we would not have to get porta potties, so that's also one less cost. And then he has like a little open dock area there, and that's where he'd set up one bar. And then the dock that's open, we would leave that open so that people can see the view of the rock and the sunset. And then along the Stacks building is where we'd set up probably the risers for the actual concert, so that it's already feeling kind of a blank wall and you see the view and it doesn't obstruct your view. And then Slow Jazz would put in some VIP tables in front that they would sell like packages to hotel guests, which I love. And then we'd have just chairs out for open seating. I'm like super excited about this. I have more, Taylor. Oh. Yeah, go ahead, Maggie.
Yeah, one thought I have, and if it is in October, that's really, or those dates, that's a perfect weather month, but it does get chilly down on the bay, so I don't know as part of that if they're thinking about putting outdoor heaters and things like that. So,
absolutely. So the requirements for this first year is a gated venue that allows up to 300 guests. Food and wine will be served, as I mentioned, out of Giovanni's kitchen. He'll also supply 2 bars. He will be responsible, or Giovanni's will be responsible for the bathrooms, and they'll be responsible for securing the permits needed. And they'll also do the cost of serving the VIP talent and all of the crew, which I think is, I am like so impressed that he has like stepped up like this, but he sees the need to grow this in Morro Bay, so I'm thrilled. The proposed dates are September 23rd, September 30th, October 14th, and the 21st. We did not do Harbor Fest weekend because he has GeoFest there and he's very, very committed to it. And I think that's really reasonable. The proposed hours would be the gate opens at 5, so there's about an hour that gives the restaurant opportunity to sell food and wine. Concert starts at 8, goes till 8:30, 8:45 at the very latest if there's an encore, and we do probably a 20-minute break in the middle to, again, gain more food and beverage sales. And then the cleanup is 9 to 10 p.m. So it's like, they got this down. They like really know, Slow Jazz knows how to do it. They really do. They're a good group. So this picture that I have, this is one of my favorite places, and I know it's Charlie's also, to go see concerts. This is Humphreys on the Bay in San Diego, and they have a very small hotel, 2-story hotel, and they took this parking lot and they built this venue. And when it originally started back in the late 80s, they would do exactly what we're talking about. They did 1 concert a week for like just a small window, like a 2-month window. And now their concerts are insane. They are year round. And what's really cool is, see all the boats in the background? That's the bay right there. Everybody gets their kayak and their paddle boards and their dinghies, and they all come up and they all watch for free like that in the bay. And I see this in Morro Bay. I see all of our locals going out and having a really great time and watching it for free while the tourists pay the tickets and sit in the seats. And I love that. I love that about Morro Bay. We're kind of fun that way. So that's kind of how I like this idea and see it growing. What do you think about it?
Go ahead.
I have 2 questions. Where are we going to do parking, and is Giovanni handling security?
Security is a good question. We have not got into any contract negotiations, Taylor, so I'll find that out. And parking would just be right there in the triangle parking right there.
Yeah, besides that, I think you nailed it.
Sean, were you gesturing for a question?
Sure. I guess these are more recommendations, I guess, or notes. It looks like an awesome event. I just want to mention the weather as well, because people aren't out on the water in kayaks at 7 p.m. I would think that maybe we push the hours 2 hours earlier to coincide with the sunset, and ultimately have the concert end maybe shortly after sunset, just because it's in Morro Bay we like to claim that it's nice like San Diego, and it's nice, but it's not like San Diego in terms of weather.
It's not.
The other comment is about all the crab tanks and boats and everything. I just want to make sure there's language to clear all that out, because it rarely looks like it does in this photo. That's it.
I do have a question. Do you know if Slow Jazz is a nonprofit or a for-profit?
It's a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. And, thinking about the weather, my only question to you as a board is, if we move it earlier, are we going to lose hotel opportunity? If we end at 7, are people going to be like, now I can drive home? Saturday I can be home Saturday night by 10.
And
I guess that would be my question. Is
the
that what we're
words
going to say?
right out of my mouth. And going back to the other item we did was our grant application overview process. What kind of nights are we expected to get out of this? I mean, that is our job here. And my concern, I'll also tag into that, what is our ticket pricing to get an idea of our demographic? Is this going to be just a locals event where locals buy tickets and we don't really see any heads and beds return? Because we're talking about $44,000. That is a substantial spend.
It is a substantial spend, Aaron. I see this as a long-term growth. Okay. I'm really looking for a 5-year growth on this eventually. I think Giovanni's parking lot is just the starting point. I mean, I would like to see this out at the Rock on the bay side, so you can be like on the bay or out at the Rock watching the concert, is where I would love to see this grow. So this is baby stepping into it. I don't know that we'll see a good profit from it the first year, but I think we have to jump in. But it is a cost. You're absolutely right.
Okay. What about ticket pricing?
So Slow Jazz would assess the ticket cost based on the band that they bring in and how popular they are and what they could get.
Okay, so we don't know if it's $5 entry or $35.
I don't know.
Looking at the Humphreys is 40 to 185.
Okay. So that'd probably be a little ambitious for us in our first year, I would imagine.
Yeah, we won't be like that.
And
Okay.
they also have here listed, and I know this is Humphreys, but they have dinner show, dinner with room, dinner with the junior suite, or dinner with the suite.
We could have dinner with Charlie Yates on there too.
$7.99. Here's $8.99 with Willie Nelson.
Your microphone.
Just the prices here, that they also show the concert packages with room nights with dinner and a show, with a suite. Kind of interesting, a way to book it. It is also, these are Saturdays, and Saturdays in Indian summer for us, we fill up. So I love the events, but we're already going to be full
I'm kind
on
of
those
with you on this one
Saturdays.
as well. Yes.
And so that's why the Friday night, get them here for 2 nights. I'd almost like to see a Sunday jazz thing, even though
But then we won't get a Sunday
But then we
night
won't
stay.
get that.
Yeah.
Would you rather have it be a Friday night concert?
Maybe.
That's going to be harder for them to drive
But harder for
in.
them to get here.
Yeah, after work.
And especially, I love the idea of making it an afternoon event over at sunset.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool. That's the weather-wise, and being on a kayak or a paddleboard or an inflatable boat out there at 7 o'clock at night in the dark might not be the best. Just thinking.
Do we have any data from any comp sense, anything to suggest what kind of night stays we're going to get out of this?
No, I do not.
Okay. So you're looking from us at this moment to approve? Are you looking for a vote? Or
No, I'm not. I'm just
You're
wanting to know if I should keep moving
discovering
forward.
this further? Okay.
If you like the idea and keep moving forward with it. There's a lot of work to still be done on it.
I think it's worth exploring, absolutely, but I think we need a little more data before we commit $44,000 to it. But it seems like it could be phenomenal, Jen. Really good work.
And the question is, Jennifer, would Slow Jazz be willing to work with us and be willing, just as Humphreys does, so we could create packages, overnight stay packages? So they might, discount for us. The hotels give us a better rate on those tickets, so that.
Absolutely, we'll put VIP packages together. That's the reason to do it, for
Okay.
sure.
So, Taylor, are you itching for a statement?
I just wanted to make it clear that, like, the venue you have makes it so possible to do this. And from my experience in working events in Morro Bay, finding this package that you found is next to impossible. We're constantly running into fencing or parking or alcohol licensing and all these different things. And I mean, you really got a great package there. And I do think that $10,800 is a good deal. So you've got my vote 100%.
It sounds like the board is behind you to pursue it. Could be great. Let's just refine the details. Awesome. Thank you very much, Jen. All right, we have about 15 minutes left. Let's circle back around. We jumped into those items to get them done. We'll come back to item number 7, which is the Amgen $25,000 TBID sponsorship requirements and event update. This is a receive and file. So, Jen, you have some updates for us.
I do. This was actually a report from our February non-meeting. So I've updated a few things on here to let you know about. So obviously, there was substantial money from TBID plus the county money as well that went into bringing Amgen here. Some of the things that we're doing this year is they sent us a bunch of swag, and we're using that for our hotels. So if you stay, I have a little, I don't know who that cute kid is up on that screen, but that is my son. Yeah, it is. Okay. He's my free model. So stay at a hotel on the 16th. It's a Tuesday, so we would really like to press people to stay and get a free piece of swag. So the way we'll do it is we'll have them come into the visitor center and pick up a piece of swag, and first come, first serve. We have backpacks, market bags, sunglasses, all different things, down to pens. So I think that's a pretty good deal. So the way this all kind of boiled out, we had a bunch of rooms that were already taken by either teams or staff, and then we had this odd amount of rooms still, which is roughly about 350 rooms, which we're putting these swag bags towards. And then I've got a very small amount of these VIP packages, and this is, I'm sure you probably remember we talked about the VIP access tent that's at the finish line. The tickets, if you bought the tickets, they're a lot of money. So there's 2 tickets if you stay 2 nights at a suite in Morro Bay. And what's really great about this is to date we've already sold 4 of these packages without any advertising spend against it. That is strictly the hotels using their database to push this offer out, and they've booked 4 packages. So I'm really happy with that. That's probably, I'm assessing that's about $2,500 in room nights that have already booked. So I don't know that we'll sell all 20 of them, but girl can hope. Yeah, so I thought that was really great. The other thing that you've got in your report is the signed room contracts and food allocations with the other hotels is about $74,000 in hotel rooms. So against our costs that we put out of $25,000, I'm happy with those numbers as well. So I think it's going really good. I think we'll do pretty good on it. And that's it on Amgen, just to receive and file. Bring you guys up to date.
Clean, great, keep it going. So we'll move from item 7. We did item 8. Let's move into item 9 then, which is a budget adjustment request for fiscal year 16-17, which we're about to wrap up here. Another receive and file from Jen.
Right. So this, Marianne brought up briefly, this was also a February report that I just wanted you to get your hands on. The report in February was I wanted to go to City Council. Well, I went ahead and went and asked them to add $24,000 into our advertising spend above our current budget. And the reason why we did this with all the city managers came together and talked about, what were the things we wanted to ask City Council to, add to our budget. And the reason why I did this is because our TOT was going up, and I felt it was worthy. The way that the current marketing plan sits, it goes dark in end of March, April, and then there's nothing running in May and June. And May and June pushes all the way into summer, but as you heard Marianne talk earlier, the booking window for hotels is like 36 days. So that $24,000 will go into that area. The other thing that they approved was $9,000 towards this database list of 160,000 people that are Valley all the way south to San Diego. So it's all of Ventura County, LA County, Orange County, all those Southern California areas. It's just a blanket out to them. And this came up from the group that was putting together the marketing, analysis that you saw earlier. And so just to back up a little bit, kind of give you guys the essence of what I do. We have a database that's been in existence before I started of roughly 19,000 people. And so we push out offers to them, quite often on, room offers or events that are coming up. And I was getting a pretty high response of people leaving our database, and it just seemed unusual to me. So I went ahead and hired a company to do an assessment of our database. It cost about $400, and they came in and they broke down our whole database. And it was astonishing to look at the numbers. And what I realized was we need to grow our database for also more clientele. So the way that the current database looks is 14% of the total 19,000 people have a household income of under $30,000, and 40% of the total database, their income is under $69,000, and they're primarily working families, which is great for our weekend travelers, but it does not fill our midweek and off season, and that's really what our focus as a board is. So this database has a really good place for us for weekend and summer travel, but it does not help us fill our off season and shoulder and midweek. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to diversify this. So I pulled up these couple database analysis. I just wanted you guys to see what I was seeing when they sent it back. Our current database is heavy female, heavy married, which is all great, heavy kids. So this database will stay in place, and we'll use this, like I said, to run into summer months. Looking at the income, you can see that it's pretty high. Almost 50% is under $69,000 in income. So not discounting this at all, just want to add to better our experience. So the database that we're adding is really interesting. We went through it as a group, and you get to assess everything about these people. I mean, they know everything about you. It's really a little scary. I mean, they can tell, what all your eating and your buying habits are, and how often you travel, and do you buy online or you travel, how often you travel as far as in market, out of market. So that's how we went after our database and built this 160,000 group that we're going to go after. So it's not a purchase of the database, it's a use of the database for March, April, May. Perfect timing with Highway 1 being closed, so I'm thrilled by it. So just to receive and file for you guys. And questions. I'd be glad to take questions on it.
Questions, board? I feel like my left has been a little heavy on the questions. How about the right? I don't want to pass Sean or Maggie. Questions? Okay. And at any point, just interject, throw it in. Oh, you have a question, Taylor?
Me.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was the one that Maggie earlier asked if it came from the general fund or whatnot, right?
Excuse me? What?
Earlier in the beginning of the meeting, Maggie had asked if this money came from the general fund. What part of the... right, Maggie? Wasn't that what you asked?
My question was, the additional funding you're requesting is coming out of the general fund?
No, it's from our TOT.
Oh, okay.
It's on a projection of our growth. Yeah.
The 10%.
Okay. I guess I'm a bit confused, because I thought the 10% TOT that goes in actually just does go into a general fund for the city. Is it actually kept separate?
So Maggie, what happened was these are projections of revenues from the year prior. So when this budget was created, it wasn't created today. It was created a year ago. So at that time, the projections were made for the revenues was a set number. Well, we looked at it at mid-year, and the numbers were better than what we expected, because we always budget revenues to be conservative. So what happened was there was more money in there, and so that's why there's this fund that is dedicated for the TBID, but because we budgeted less, we can't use more money unless it's approved by council. So that's what happened. We just needed approval, but yeah, it was earmarked for TBID to use, but we couldn't use it until it would have been next year.
Okay.
Very good question. Thank you, Maggie. Are there any further questions or discussions from the board? Excuse me?
I said I think Charlie needs to grow a beard so all four of you match.
We can put that to a vote later. That sounded like a motion to me. Maggie, you are relieved from that. No pressure. This is a receive and file. Seeing no public comment on it, we'll close it off. And actually, with our 7 minutes left, I think we will get through the day. Excellent. Nothing to push over to next month, so we can get back to business as usual. Next item, item 11, nomination and election of members for chair and vice chairperson positions for the TBID board here.
I would like to nominate Aaron Graves as our chairman.
I would like to second that.
Well,
Can I third that?
Well, formally, I appreciate the vote of confidence. So it sounds to me like, it's all on the mic here, we have a first and a second motion for me to chair, and we would need to go to a vote for the board. All in favor of the motion as stated by Mr. Yates?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? I should abstain from that vote. So I am honored, board, in your confidence in me, and I would love to continue as the chairperson here. So I'm very thankful.
Yeah.
I'm really not doing a lot, to be honest, but we all are working together. Now, how about our vice chairperson? I would love to nominate Charlie Yates as our vice chair.
I second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Charlie,
I would be honored. Thank you.
Charlie abstains. All right. Exciting. Okay, last item. Declaration of future items for this. So I made a couple quick notes here. Future items. Charlie recommended we have some sort of a Jackrabbit presentation or a way to delve into that a little deeper. I think we only really open that up maybe once or twice a year. It's easy to forget the details, and I think there's a lot happening there. So we wanted to put that as a declaration of future items.
Can I put that on our annual meeting?
Wherever you feel appropriate, but we want to get it
Okay.
on the record. We want to talk about this. And I think it would be great for the public to be reminded on occasion of the significance of Jackrabbit. Next item I had noted here is an EVP, an event planner position. That seems to be coming up more and more, along with the idea of event incubators and so forth. We know events will definitely help our heads in beds, but technically from our bylaws, it is a bit of a digression from our job. And let's bear in mind, guys, we are a DMO, a Destination Marketing, capital M, organization. So I love events, I love tree lighting, I love those things, but I don't want us to get derailed in those smaller conversations along the way. So I think we should have a conversation about an event planning position. I don't also want Jen to be digressed too far from her primary role into planning events, because that's an entirely separate profession altogether. So let's talk about that. Let's see if we can bring in a sub, an outside source, somebody else. They'll also be able to do the job more efficiently. They'll have access to cheaper rental facilities and just all those things that come with a different profession. Those are the two things I would like to declare. Does anybody else have anything else?
I would love to.
Taylor.
Yeah, I have one. I would love to hear. This is what I'd like. I'd love to hear from Josh Heptig about the county golf courses, specifically Morro Bays, in reference to what are their tourism plans with the golf course? What kind of packages could we do with? And specifically, give us the information on your Monarch Butterfly Grove that's there, because maybe we want to promote it. And I think that's all tourism related, and I believe he's the guy to go to.
Yeah, the
Thank
golf
you, Taylor.
course, offers discounted rates to hoteliers so that we can create packages, and it's really a nice. And me being right across the street, we work with them a lot, and it also brings in groups and tournaments, and offering about a 50% discount off of that, and helping us set up tournaments for small groups. We have the Department of Justice in right now, and they're playing golf tournament 2 days in a row. It is really good, and I think we can explore it more and take more advantage of it.
Thank you, Charlie. Would anybody else like to see anything on the agendas? Seeing no future items, then noted. Last item is to adjourn. Officially, the time is 11:27 a.m., 3 minutes ahead of schedule. Look at that, and we are adjourned.